Cindy Williams didn't tell her friends about her last illness. She called off shows without giving a reason. No one knew she was dead for 5 days after she died. Her sister has now told shocking things about those last few months. She is telling everyone what really happened behind closed doors. You will be shocked by the truth about Cindy's medical care. We all knew something was off in Hollywood. No one thought it would be that bad though. The specifics will make your heart hurt. Cindy Williams was born in Van Nuys, Los Angeles, on August 22, 1947. Her mother, Francesca, worked as a waitress and put in long hours. Her father, the late Bill Williams, worked at an electronics company. It was always hard to get money. Cindy's childhood was marked by moving and struggling. When her family came to Dallas, she was only 1 year old. After that, at 10, they went back to Los Angeles. Because of these changes, she had to start over all the time, which made her flexible. Another thing it taught her was how to quickly connect with people, which helped her in show business. She wasn't an only child. She was close with her younger sister Carol Ann and her half-brother Jim from her mom's first marriage. They had what some might call less than ideal conditions. Cindy wore old clothes and learned early on how to get by with very little. She was funny, had blue eyes and brown hair. Her humor helped her deal with her dad's drinking. His moods were all over the place, but his impersonations of Jackie Gleason and Milton Berle made her laugh. She will never forget those times. It felt safe to laugh. The church became her safe place. She felt safe from the chaos at home at Sunday school. She was in small plays there and sometimes thought that Debbie Reynolds would walk in and see her. In the end, Cindy said that acting made her feel strong even though her everyday life at home made her feel weak. She was in school plays and teachers loved how well she timed her lines and used her facial movements. People named Sally Field were in her class at Birmingham High School when she finished in 1965. Cindy wasn't just daydreaming anymore, she was getting ready. She went to Los Angeles City College after high school to study acting. It wasn't exciting. To make money, she worked as a waitress, often late shifts, and went on auditions during the day. 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night were all she needed. Before she got her first national ad, she kept a notebook where she wrote down the dates of her 157 failed auditions. It took a while for her big break to come. She lived in a tiny room in Hollywood for years, sometimes on just $20 a month. For $175 a month. She didn't give up though. Things started to change in 1969. People noticed her in an ad for Foster Grant Shades. After that, she got more ads for TWA Airlines and other companies that paid her and put her face on TV. She played small parts in TV shows like Love American Style and Room 222. They were never leads though. Her boyfriend or neighbor was always her. Still, each job was a step forward. Then the moment she'll never forget happened. Back in 1970, she had to dance with Gene Kelly for a comedy show called The Funny Side. As she spun, she stepped on his foot out of fear. He made it through the song like a pro, never letting it show. They did a show together again years later, and she stepped on his foot again. He laughed and said, "Kid, something hasn't changed." That sort of charm, which is real, messy, and a little off, turned into her mark. She was let into the Actors Studio West in 1971. It was an honor, but she had a lot going on and couldn't make it every time. More famous people began to notice her around this time. The great director George Cukor saw her in a small play in 1972 and put her in the movie Travels with My Aunt. All of a sudden she was on screen with Maggie Smith. She worked for a man who had shaped stars like Katharine Hepburn. Her big break finally came in 1973, when she was chosen as Laurie Henderson in American Graffiti, George Lucas's low-budget movie about teens in the 1960s. The movie was made for only $777,000. No one thought it would become a classic. Williams was Ron Howard's girlfriend, but she wasn't just play her for her. Afterward, she said she pulled right from her real sadness. Her boyfriend told her they should see other people after he broke up with her for someone else. That pain made her character feel real, and it came through. In the dance scene with Howard, they smile for the crowd while fighting behind closed doors about how smoke gets in your eyes. This was one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. He even changed some parts of the story to make her more interesting. Williams had more experience than many of her co-stars. She had been in Travels with My Aunt, directed by the famous George Cukor, just a year before. The American Graffiti was not like that though. She was nominated for a BAFTA for Best Supporting Actress in 1975 for this role, which was a huge honor for someone so new to her work. She lost. That was given to Ingrid Bergman. But being named with such a famous person meant a lot. Williams had put in a lot of work to get there. She went from working as a waitress to being in a movie that made a lot of people famous. 3 people who will become stars: Ron Howard, Harrison Ford and Richard Dreyfuss. The casting process was crazy. The young Mark Hamill was one of the over 100 unknown artists who tried out, but it was director Fred Roos, who worked on The Godfather, who thought she could do it. That faith paid off. She became close with the American Graffiti group well before the movie came out. There was a natural spark between her and Ron Howard, which led to a surprise. Howard played Richie Cunningham on Happy Days in 1975. He got her a special spot, and that one show changed her whole life. When they were together with Penny Marshall, they lit up the screen. Gary Marshall saw it, and put Laverne and Shirley on right away. People all over the world watched it, but Penny and Cindy already knew each other. They were close friends before they met on another set many years ago. She also met Harrison Ford through American Graffiti. At the time, Ford was still working as a carpenter. It was Fred Roos's idea for him to play the cool and rebellious Bob Fulfa. In Coppola's next big movie they would meet again. As it turns out, Francis Ford Coppola saw Williams in American Graffiti and hired her right away for The Conversation in 1974. It was around the same time that he was making the Godfather movies. She was in The Conversation with Gene Hackman, John Cazale, Terry Garr and a young Harrison Ford. Bob Duvall even had a part that wasn't given to him. The film won the top award at the Cannes Film Festival. It was about being paranoid and being watched. The movie won 3 Oscars, including Best Picture, and made $4.8 million. It only cost $1.6 million to make. Afterward, Williams talked about how Lucas and Coppola are different. Lucas was short and quiet. After a take he would often just say, "Great." Coppola, on the other hand, was always praising his players and asking them what they thought. In different ways both directors changed her life, but something strange did happen. She had roles in 3 highly acclaimed movies in a row: Travels with My Aunt, American Graffiti and The Conversation. Then her career stopped going forward. It didn't make sense. She was too well known to go back to being a waitress, but she wasn't getting any big movie parts either. She began writing with Penny Marshall just to keep herself busy. Zoetrope Productions, run by Francis Ford Coppola, hired them as part of a small group of women writers for $30 a week. It wasn't a big deal at the time. They were just 2 people trying to get ahead in Hollywood. But a very important thing took place. They became very close creatively while they were working together. They learned how to bounce ideas off of each other, how to really make jokes funny, and without even realizing it, how to build the friendship that would later define their lives. Things changed in late 1975, with just one phone call. They were writing a script when Penny's brother Gary Marshall called out of the blue. He was the author of Happy Days. He told them to take a week off and play 2 girls who are going on a double date with Richie and Fonzie. Williams remembers how funny it was when Gary called the characters the girls who date the fleet. "I think this is going to be fun," she joked. They didn't think much of it. "I only had a small part in one show and got paid quickly. That's why they said yes." When they walked into Paramount Studios on November 11, 1975, they had no idea that they were about to change the history of TV. People fell in love with the 2 girls from Milwaukee as soon as the episode aired on January 27, 1976. Williams played Shirley, who was nice. Marshall went as the tough one, Laverne. When Richie gets over a breakup, he asks Fonzie for help. Fonzie then sets up a double date for Laverne and Shirley. That was it, an easy setup. People just couldn't get enough. It began as a small joke but turned into a big moment. Afterward, even Penny said that they were supposed to be the girls who put out, but that version was quickly fixed when ABC saw how good it could be. Behind closed doors they were really getting along. Everyone took notice. The cast and crew, the live crowd and the producers. It was too important to ignore. In a funny mistake, Tom Bosley, who played Mr. Cunningham, can be seen standing behind a door waiting for his cue, and the window lets you see him clearly. But Richie and Fonzie were no longer the center of attention. It had moved. The scene was stolen by these 2 women. After only 2 weeks they got another call, this time from Gary Marshall's office. People in charge at ABC had seen the show. They didn't want any more guest stars. Their wish was for a full show. Cindy and Penny had no idea what a spin-off was. They needed to know. They only knew that something big was going on. It wasn't just playing that brought them together. Williams said it seemed like he could see them. They didn't need to study much. They knew what each other would do. Williams always studied her lines right up until the last minute. Marshall was not like that at all. She did a great job even though she barely looked at the script. She could light up a cigarette, tell a joke and be good to go. It worked in some way. Their differences made them better as a team. She got cast in the next big project just because she got along so well with Perry Marshall. Laverne and Shirley first aired on TV on January 27, 1976. It blew up within months. By fall of that year it had done something that couldn't be done. People liked it more than Happy Days. More than 60 million people watched it every week at its peak. Cindy became well known after being known from American Graffiti. Her face was in every living room, every paper and every lunchbox. People all over the United States learned the beginning chant Schlemiel, Schlimazel, Hassan Pfeffer Inc. and used it on playgrounds. She was making $30,000 per show by 1979. Back then that was a lot of money for any star. She created Shirley Feeney, not just played her. That scared laugh from Cindy to Shirley. She worked on it for weeks before the first episode was even shot. She gave Shirley a lot of thought. She even wrote in her own papers as the character. Cindy suggested that Shirley wear prim and proper outfits and give herself stuffed animals like Boo Boo Kitty. That, along with Laverne's tomboy style, made the show stand out. By 1979, women were going to hairdressers and asking for the Shirley cut. Every week Cindy got more than 1,500 letters from fans. Not everyone liked Shirley. They could feel her. But there was a tough person behind the sweet smile and soft voice. Cindy did almost all of her own tricks. No jokes were meant by the physical comedy. She had to fight bottles on a conveyor belt for 37 takes in one show from 1978. She hurt her 3 ribs but she kept going. For the 1977 roller skating shots she did the splits in front of the camera even though she had never been skating before. It got so cold that she got frostbite while shooting hours of skiing scenes. Before the show began she trained with theater artists. They practiced a 3-minute drill together for more than 50 hours. Because she did dangerous things without fear, people called her the female Buster Keaton. In January 1978 her work became very well known. Cindy was up for Best Actress in a Comedy at the Golden Globes. It was stars like Carol Burnett and Gene Stapleton who she had to fight. It changed everything, even though she didn't win. Now people in the business saw her as more than half of a pair. Studios gave her big deals with more money, lead parts and creative freedom. All of them were turned down. She was true to Shirley and Laverne. In new ways her dedication paid off. At that time her contract gave her more power than most actors did. But things began to go wrong. The show moved from Milwaukee to California in 1980. The jobs at the brewery were gone. The magic was the same. Her claim says that Gary Marshall tried to get rid of her because she was pregnant. She said the studio had offered to make room for her. They said they'd include it in the story, keep her safe at work until October and pay her $75,000 per show plus $37,500 for each repeat. But then they changed their minds. Cindy felt lied to. They broke the deal and she had to choose between her baby and her job, which was not possible. In August 1982 she sued Paramount half for $20 million, half of which was for general losses and the other half for punishment. Her husband was there for her, but his presence made things tense on set. Penny Marshall afterwards said she didn't get along with Hudson because he was difficult. Things quickly came to a head. In season 8 Cindy was only in 2 episodes. After that Shirley was gone. There was no goodbye or send-off. There was only a note which said she moved in with her husband. People were shocked. Even though it was only Laverne, the show was still called Laverne and Shirley. Penny Marshall had to deal with fans who were confused and asked, "Where is Cindy?" She said it was all a drag. It cost a lot for Cindy to leave one of the most popular TV shows. That year she turned down a $1.65 million deal that didn't include reruns. The case was finally dropped without a fuss, but the damage had already been done. Her path in Hollywood became suddenly less clear.
There were rumors. Some said she had asked for crazy things. People said it was because of a fight with Penny, but Cindy didn't say much because she was busy becoming a mother. It wasn't just a wedding when Cindy Williams and Bill Hudson got married on May 1, 1982. It was the start of a rough ride through feelings. Bill had just split up with Goldie Hawn, and Cindy moved in with a family that was already very troubled. In an instant she became the stepmother of Oliver 6 and Kate Hudson 3. It wasn't always easy for that family, but both kids would become big stars in Hollywood. Things were very tense. Bill had a hard time getting along with Oliver and Kate from the start, and things got worse over time. When Oliver called out his dad in a Father's Day post in 2015, things went off the rails in public. Bill fought back and said Goldie was to blame for making the kids dislike him. At the same time, Goldie's longtime partner Kurt Russell became more of a father figure to Kate and Oliver than Bill ever was. It made two different families that didn't talk to each other much. By 2021, Kate had said that she wanted to get back in touch with her half-siblings, and that time was running out. When Cindy died in January 2023, many people hoped that her death would help end the years of family silence. Cindy and Bill were married for 18 years until 2000, but Cindy had to make a choice that would change her life long before she got divorced. Early in 1982, she learned she was going to have their daughter Emily. There was a big star on TV at the time. Cindy, Laverne and Shirley was about to start its 8th season. She thought she could work even though she was pregnant. Maybe she could hide behind furniture on set like actors do all the time. But the producers wanted her to keep shooting until she was due, which is illegal today and would be again if she did it. Cindy said, "No, I can't sign this," she said as she looked at the paper. She quit after only 2 shows of the new season. She lost the part of Shirley Feeney because of that choice, and a $20 million lawsuit followed. The case was eventually settled without a fight. Later that year, Emily was born and Cindy stopped being the center of attention. This event changed not only her life but also how Hollywood dealt with actors who were pregnant. After many years, she noticed that sets began to include nurseries and offer on-site child care. She didn't mean to be a leader, but she made herself one. In 1986, 4 years later, Cindy had her second child, William Zachary Hudson, also known as Zachary or Zach. He joined his sister Emily and his half-siblings Kate and Oliver, making the family very big and complicated. But Cindy made it clear there would be no fame for her kids as they grew up. She raised them in a quiet, normal way, away from cameras that flash. Zachary stayed out of sight. In 2004, when Cindy and Emily were at her Hollywood Walk of Fame event, he was one of the few times he didn't stay away. He was about 18 years old. After that, things got even worse in 2006. It was Bill Hudson's daughter Lelania who had a child with his girlfriend Caroline Graham. That means Zachary and Emily had a new half-sibling. Cindy never lost sight of her goal to protect her kids' privacy. In 2021, Kate Hudson said in public that she wanted to spend more time with her other brothers like Zachary and Emily. There was still hope, even though it was clear that Bill's broken relationships hadn't fully healed. Because Cindy's family grew, she had to change her job. They broke up and she tried to keep playing after they broke up. It wasn't easy though. In 1983, she made her first big movie after leaving sitcoms. It was a strange sci-fi comedy called The Creature Wasn't Nice, which is also known as Naked Space or Spaceship. It cost $2 million to make and featured Leslie Nielsen. Cindy even sang 2 songs in the movie, but it didn't do well at the box office and was re-edited several times before it finally found an audience. The next movie she made was Euphoria, a low-budget sci-fi movie she had shot in 1981. She played Arlene, a lonely grocery store worker who was crazy about aliens in the movie. The movie also had Fred Ward and Harry Dean Stanton in it. The movie was put on hold though and didn't come out until 1985. It finally came out on VHS in 1987. These parts were very different from her days on primetime sitcoms, and it was clear that Cindy's popularity was going away. She didn't fight the change though. Instead, she leaned into it. Her family was more important to her than fame. Cindy Williams hoped for a big comeback after leaving Laverne and Shirley in 1982. Normal Life, a show she made in 1990, was her first big break. It was based on Frank Zappa's Weird Youth, and his real kids Dweezil and Moon Unit were in it. It was Cindy who played Anne Harlow, the mom. The idea of a mixed-race family trying to deal with the chaos of adolescence sounded good, but fans didn't get it. All 13 episodes aired on CBS from March to July, but the numbers kept going down. Directors kept switching jobs. It didn't work. It wasn't Cindy's big comeback after all, it was a quick flop. After that she did something smart. Instead of looking for another show, she quickly found work in TV movies. She was in Menu for Murder and a Perry Mason movie just in 1990. In both she got to show a different side of herself, part dramatic, part funny. She had a part in Earth Angel in 1991, a dream TV movie that once again showed how versatile she is. Even though these weren't big projects, they kept her busy. They gave her time, which was more important. Cindy had 2 children. Emily, born in 1982, and Zachary, born in 1986. Movies for TV give her a chance to play without the stress of a 9-month sitcom shoot. Even though they weren't flashy, they helped people in Hollywood remember her. That was just what she needed. Cindy made another big play for the big time in 1993. Getting By was a show about 2 single moms in Chicago, one white and one black, who raised their kids together. It was on ABC's TGIF and over 21 million people watched the first few minutes. But ABC ended it after the first season. NBC showed it. The move didn't help though. Ratings dropped hard, and by the end only 5.7 million people were still watching. There were also issues behind the scenes after Warner Brothers took over making the movie. Even though it only ran for 31 episodes, Getting By was her last lead part in a network sitcom. She was no longer a big star during prime time. Coming into the 2000s, Cindy tried something very different. She started the crazy comedy show Strip Mall on Comedy Central in 2000. It was sexy, loud, and full of sarcastic Hollywood references. This was a big step for Cindy, who is known for making family-friendly TV shows. She was only in 6 episodes of the show, but it made a point. She was able to laugh at herself. She showed everyone that she wasn't stuck in the past when she was 53 years old. She was open to change and ready to take risks that most of her friends wouldn't. Fans still wanted a bit of the old magic though. They got it in 2002. ABC showed Laverne and Shirley together again, which was the first time in almost 20 years that the original group was back together. 17.5 million people watched it. When Cindy and Penny Marshall hugged on camera, letting go of years of anger, it was the most moving part of the show. Cindy quit the first show when she got pregnant, which made her break up with Penny very painful. But when they got back together, they made up. Thoughts were given to group members who had died and bloopers were shown. It made everyone remember how much they loved those actors and characters. Then Cindy shocked everyone again in 2004. She played a grandmother who hid the abuse her son-in-law was doing on Law & Order SVU. It was a scary, dark, and very real scene. More than 15 million people watched. Cindy's act was praised for being haunting and quiet. She had watched courtrooms and talked to experts just to get a sense of what someone would think if they were asked to protect a predator. Some people thought she should be nominated for an Emmy. Even though she had been famous for 30 years, it was one of the most honest parts she had ever played. It showed that she was still growing as an actress. She went back to the stage and lived theater all over the United States from 2006 to 2014. She did shows in 42 places 267 times. In 2007 she was in Nonsense for more than a year and won an award for being the best actress in a traveling show. She played a psychic in Blithe Spirit in Pasadena in 2009 and didn't miss a single one of the 96 shows. She also went on tour with Eddie Mecca, who used to be her co-star. In the love story show Lunch Hour, she said that she wrote it all down in 2015 when she was 64 years old. For the first month, 48,000 copies of her autobiography Shirley, I Jest were sold. It went to number 7 on the Los Angeles Times bestseller list. She told him about the bad things that happen in Hollywood. She talked about how studio execs pushed her to start filming just 6 weeks after giving birth. She also said that she turned down Airplane and Jaws 2 because they didn't work with her schedule. In the book she wrote about her short relationship with Andy Kaufman and her long fight with depression after her show was cancelled. She went on a book tour to 15 cities, met friends, and even brought the real Schlimmel Schlimmerzel sweated with her. My memoirs wasn't just a recap of my career. It was how she set the record straight. With the small independent picture still waiting in the wings, which came out in 2018, she returned to film at the age of 71. She felt very strongly about the story. Cindy had also worked as a waitress while following her dreams. This time she worked with famous people like Ed Asner and Cheetah Rivera, making a younger crowd laugh and feel good. 5 awards were given to the movie. She was ready to work on set even when she was in her 70s, and she helped people who were just starting out. But Penny Marshall was the one friendship that stayed at the center of her story all these years. Pain and pride had broken up their friendship. When the studio told Cindy she had to quit, she felt alone. I felt alone when the show was over without her. For 15 years they didn't talk. Then Penny called in 1997 after her marriage finally ended. They cried. They were sorry. They began all over again. By 2012 they were back on Good Morning America together, laughing with their old co-stars. After that they worked together for a special spot on Sam and Cat where they made fun of their past. It wasn't just getting back together, it was healing. Cindy Williams' life changed in late 2022. She didn't want anyone to know that her health was getting worse. She kept her problems to herself, just like she had done all her life. She didn't say anything important. Forgive her, she didn't want it. She quietly stepped away from the attention instead. By November, people who knew her well saw that she was canceling shows for her one-woman show, Me, Myself and Shirley. People all over the US liked the show and they were excited to see her. Behind the scenes though, Cindy was having a hard time. Few close friends and her kids were the only ones who knew how bad things were. She didn't want the news to talk about it. She didn't want her illness to get in the way of her work. Even while she was in therapy, she read plays and thought about what she wanted to do next. That's who she was, someone who loved her job and worked hard until the end. Her team kept her secrets safe. When media asked about her, they just said she was resting and getting better. They didn't talk about how sick she was so that she could spend her last days with her family where it meant most. Things changed in early January 2023. Things got worse for her, but no one told the world. Cindy didn't want anyone to notice her. She just wanted to be alone. Cindy died in Los Angeles on January 25, 2023, 75. The news wasn't shared right away by her family. They had to wait 5 days. On January 30th, her children Zach and Emily Hudson told the world about it through Liza Kranis, who works as a family spokesperson. They wrote, "The death of our sweet and funny mother Cindy Williams has left us with unbearable sadness that can never be fully expressed. It has been a pleasure and an honor to know and love her. In addition to being beautiful and kind, she had a great sense of humor and a sparkling energy that everyone loved." The moment was very moving. When Cindy died, it was only 5 years after Penny Marshall, who was her close friend and co-star on Laverne and Shirley. Penny had also died at the age of 75. In December 2018, they both died of complications from diabetes. Their lives had always been linked, and now their last chapters were too.